Alright. Alright, there we go. I'll say it. I'll be honest, this will probably get copyrighted or whatever, but I'm just gonna probably, like, try to let's see if that works. There we are. Alright, let's see, that's that. That's that. Alright, let's see. It's something about Pluto's gonna hit what was that crap? Hang on. Like, Pluto's gonna hit Neptune and, like, screw everything up. Like, this is a Neil deGrasse Tyson thing. On the Stephen Colbert Report, like, I'm gonna fucking believe this. Alright, let's watch this one. Hang on.
You can sell this $5 spatula on Amazon and compete with hundreds of other spatula sellers, or you can sell digital products on Amazon and compete with almost no one. You see, I use a brand new Amazon platform that's banned to sell a physical product.
Okay.
Yet without me
Well,
buying or
fine.
shipping inventory or storing anything, Amazon's
Why
still
am I
paying
hearing
me
an
over
ad?
40K a month. You see, everything I
I'm
sell is
not paying you
100%
money to see
digital,
a
so the
damn ad
product
there. Alright, sorry, y'all. Hang
One
on.
of the chief
Hang on. Obviously, I don't have my shit together because I just saw an ad. I don't think all this shit's working, but whatever. Alright, hang on. You gotta add something. And, there we go. Okay, I want to talk about how many clicks that took, but all right, we're gonna look into this until like somebody starts talking about time travel and shit. But I'm curious about this because Pluto isn't on the same elliptical orbit that everything else is, and it actually drifts in and out of our solar system. I don't know how they classify it in or out of a solar system, but evidently because its elliptical path is different.
reasons Pluto got demoted to the status of a dwarf planet was its strange orbit. Pluto takes 248
See,
years
yeah,
to complete one revolution around the Sun. Since its discovery in 1930, the celestial body hasn't even
but
completed a single orbit. But that's not the only peculiar thing about it. The nature of Pluto's orbit is an ongoing mystery, something that astronomers became aware of shortly after its discovery.
okay.
The orbits
Hey,
of all
here,
the 8
hang
planets.
on. Here, why? Oh, my camera's all fucked up. But here's my question about Pluto, right? Like its orbit's all fucked up, but who's to say like they do say the Earth should have been hit by an asteroid like millions of years ago. Who's to say that like Pluto wasn't one of those like didn't get hit by an asteroid that like knocked the asteroid off the trajectory, but also messed up Pluto's orbit. I
In
mean,
the solar system are nearly circular and lie close to the plane of the sun's equator. The plane of Earth's orbit around the Sun is called the ecliptic, and almost all the planets have orbits with only slight inclinations
There's
to
your
the
order.
ecliptic, which makes it convenient to treat the ecliptic as the fundamental
Also
plane
makes it
of the solar
conveniently
system.
to like mathematically
But
figure
things are
shit.
different in Pluto's case.
Right.
It has a highly elliptical orbit, inclined at 17 degrees to the ecliptic, way higher than
Okay,
the orbital
hang on,
inclination of all.
Like let's back that up. Like, okay, so all the planets rotate on the same elliptical thing, right? And if you look at that picture, that that's 2D. They're all on 2D, right? Basically. If you wanna go that far, it's on an X and a Y axis. Those are all flat. But Pluto somehow is introducing a Z axis and crap. I mean, let's go down the rabbit hole. Like, what about like we're a created planet where whatever, you know, if we were the people keeping an eye on us are obviously of higher intelligence than us, therefore they'd know, like they'd have a third dimensional orbit like you're seeing there. Plus, I mean, they'd keep their distance. Anyway, I knew Pluto's orbit was like more oval than everything. I didn't realize like it fluctuated on the z-axis.
Degrees to the ecliptic, way higher than the orbital inclination of all the planets in
Yeah.
the solar system. Pluto's orbit intersects with Neptune's orbit, and because of that, the tiny world lies closer to the Sun for almost 20 years in each orbit.
Right, it
Now,
changes
the
its
intriguing
position
question is, why hasn't it collided with
because
Neptune?
it's on a 3D
What has
orbit.
kept Pluto stable in this weird orbit for billions of years? And most importantly, what roles do the planets of the solar system play in trapping
Okay.
Pluto in its odd orbit?
Okay, well, here's some hypotheses. One, the reason it hasn't hit Neptune is because of that 3D orbit. When it passes Neptune, it's in the upper rise, rather than or the lower rather than the middle. So that's allowing it. What's causing that odd, like it's literally a third dimensional orbit is what they're saying. Because not only is it like oblong or oval going around, it's also wobbly. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised to find out that its highest point of its orbit changes throughout the years, which may be how they calculated that it's going to hit Neptune. But I mean, we're just now figuring that shit out. I mean, that to me, that's a major thing because it's saying a planet can orbit something not only like something can orbit something in 3 dimensions, basically, is what it's saying. But what is trapping Pluto in its odd orbit? Yeah, some sort of on we're 3 dimensional beings. It's that other being. I don't know. Something we don't understand yet. Secrets, of course. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm watching this.
Astronomers have long wondered why Pluto doesn't collide with Neptune, and the answer lies in two terms of celestial mechanics: azimuthal libration and
Yeah,
latitude
okay.
libration.
Fancy names.
Because of these two phenomena, Pluto can safely
Wait,
orbit the Sun.
okay. Okay, two fancy names. I guarantee you those two names mean that it doesn't move in a circular orbit. It's elliptical, and also that it like not only does it move, let's say along the x-axis, it wobbles up and down too.
Without colliding with Neptune. Understanding these two terms is easy. Azimuthal libration describes that whenever Pluto crosses Neptune's orbit, it is always at least 90 degrees away from Neptune. On the other hand, latitude libration ensures that when Pluto reaches its closest point to Neptune, or any other giant planets. It always stays high above them and the solar system plane. This behavior of Pluto's orbit is
Right.
known as VZLK oscillation, referring to von Zeipel, Lidov, and Kozai, who studied this phenomenon as part of the famous three-body problem. This
Okay. I just gotta stop right there. One, like, okay, that's kind of what I'm talking about. It like moves in an elliptical horizontal orbit as well as a vertical up and down orbit and whatever those guys found it out. But also like it's what did they call it? Hang on. They studied the phenomenon of the three body problem. Like I don't want to get all religious and shit, but I mean, come on. Like I have this thing where I can't understand why you have to be religious or scientific. Why can't we bring them together? Like if you look at the Big Bang Theory and you look at what the Bible says, I mean it's basically the same. Let there be light, and bam, there's fucking light. You know, all this shit collided and bam, created the universe. I mean, the same thing. And this right here, the three body problem, like, in my belief, I'm Christian. You know, I'll get that out of the way. But in my belief, like my God is triune. It's three. Three is like part of that the whole thing. And I mean, like you look at the Fibonacci sequences, 3, 9, you know, 6, like even 666. Oh, number of the devil and shit. Whatever. But like you can go through and there's a mathematical order to the entire universe. Which mean like to me, like the scriptures prove. And you can read the scriptures and then look at science and go, wait a minute, 3 and 3, you know. What did fuck, I don't remember how many horsemen because I don't care about that shit, but what was it 12 horsemen or 9 whatever, the horsemen of the apocalypse, I'm pretty sure is divisible by 3. I mean everything is. I just like anyway, what I'm getting at is there has to be something better or greater than us that has a greater understanding. Call it God, call it Yahweh, call it Yeshua, call it Muhammad, call it whatever. You know, like if you strip away all the political shit and just get to the basis of the text, um, I mean, this is my opinion. If you get to the basis of the text, despite the Quran, just my opinion. I'm sorry, you know, feel free to disagree with me. I don't mean any disrespect, but I've read it and I just issues with that. Anyway, I mean they're all the same. There's a triune, there's three, this everything happens in threes and it just ties together, you know. Plus, even if you don't want to believe in the Bible, who knows? It you know, take it for like a secret Da Vinci Code kind of shit. You know, the elites have used the Bible throughout time to achieve greatness. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but they do it either way, and it's like they know something. They understand it a different way, you know.
famous three-body
Anyway,
problem.
three body problem.
This
There you
problem
go.
considers the initial positions and velocities of three massive objects. These parameters are used to solve their equation of motion following Newton's three laws and the theory of universal gravitation. Both these factors are together held responsible for keeping Pluto out of danger. However, in the late 1980s, numerical simulations revealed that despite these two prevailing properties,
There's a
Pluto's
flaw.
orbit is technically chaotic.
Hmm.
Some minor deviations of initial conditions led to exponential divergence of the orbital solutions over tens of millions of years.
I'm willing to
But
bet they didn't
fortunately,
calculate
the
for a
two
third
unique
axis.
properties of Pluto's orbit persist over giga-year timescales,
Oh no shit.
thereby making its orbit remarkably stable by limiting the
Right.
chaos and not allowing them to take over the stability. To better understand the phenomenon involved in keeping Pluto's orbit stable, The researchers simulated the orbital evolution of Pluto for up to 5 billion years.
But they
by
can't. They
using
don't
8
understand it.
combinations of giant planets' perturbations. So basically, they wanted to know how the gravity of different planets affects Pluto in various combinations. Researchers ran simulations combining different cases.
Right.
One of the simulations only involved the influence of Neptune, while 3 combinations considered the impact of gas giants in pairs. These pairs included Uranus and Neptune, Saturn and Neptune,
Hey, okay, hang
followed
on.
by
I want to back
Jupiter
up real
and
quick.
Neptune.
Yeah, where's that diagram they
Thereby,
showed?
the 2 unique properties of Pluto's
Where's
orbit
that diagram they
persist
showed?
over giga-year timescales, 5 billion years, by using 8 combinations of
Okay, the problem I don't like with this is, like, I don't feel like that's accurate. What they're showing there, they're kind of getting close, but like the sun's the major pole, which of course it would be. But like if you look at Mars and Mercury and Earth and all that, you don't see any pull. What like see?
giant planets' perturbations. So
I don't see any pull, and I mean like what's that? That's Jupiter's gaseous, but I don't know the actual weight of it. But okay, it's ahead of that. But Jupiter's mostly gaseous. It's actually not a very dense planet. And then all these other, I don't know.
giant planets'
I'm
perturbations.
criticizing the
So
animation. I get it.
basically, they wanted to know how the gravity of different planets affects Pluto in various
Right.
combinations. Researchers ran simulations combining different
But
cases.
okay, more to that point, we don't even know how like gravity like affect outer space and shit. Like we don't. We get like the fabric idea and Einstein and shit. But like, if you want to talk about gravity affecting shit, okay, the Earth's oceans and shit are dependent on the rotation of the moon around our planet. But yet, the moon like orbits our planet, but doesn't rotate itself. Like, how does that work? Like, okay, we or it's like you put the Earth on a blanket and it dips down and it keeps that rock mass going around us. But like, why is it not spinning? I'm pretty sure all the other moons on like Jupiter and Saturn and all that are spinning. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
One of the simulations
Somebody
only
let me
involved
know.
the influence of Neptune, while 3
And
combinations
I have a problem
considered
with
the
that.
impact of gas giants in pairs.
Okay.
These pairs included Uranus and Neptune, Saturn
Uh,
and
Okay.
Neptune,
Sorry, little piggy side there. Your whole like experiment's flawed now because you're trying to dictate. Like you've already shown that the sun is the largest gravity body like within our solar system, and you're trying to figure out what's affecting the furthest body from that. And you're like your first one, you're only including one, and then like in all you include what 3 others. So you're not even including the major fucking thing. Well, see, like okay, we're including that one. Then we include this one that's out here, Pluto, and we're gonna see what Neptune and then these other most dense.
followed by Jupiter and Neptune.
Yeah,
Besides that, 3 combinations included 3 gas giants together: Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune.
you have to include
And in
them
one of
all.
the combinations, the team also considered all the 4 giant planets at once.
No, you have to
Finally,
include them
after
all.
analyzing all the results of the simulations in different combinations,
Oh, this
here's
is a
what they
fucking sun
discovered.
moving shit.
Neptune and Pluto are long known to exist in a 3:2 orbital resonance.
Right?
This means that Pluto finishes 2 of its orbits for every
For
3
three
orbits
orbits
that
of
Neptune
Neptune.
completes around the
Right.
Sun. Orbital resonances can significantly enhance the mutual gravitational influence of the bodies on each other and are very common in the solar system. One of the famous examples is the 1:2:4 resonance of Jupiter's moons, Ganymede, Europa, and Io. So the simulations revealed that Neptune significantly influences Pluto's azimuthal libration due to orbital resonance between Neptune and Pluto. However,
Does it, or
as
does
far as
Pluto
Pluto's
keep
latitude
Neptune in
libration
line?
is concerned, Neptune doesn't contribute much. The situation becomes tricky in the
That's why
case
they
of the next
disabled it.
closest giant. Uranus's gravity destabilizes both the
Okay.
azimuthal and latitudinal constraints, thereby favoring the destabilization of Pluto's orbit. This means that if Pluto's
Right,
orbit
it
were
was-
only governed by Neptune's and Uranus's gravity, it would have become unstable after tens
But
or
it's
hundreds
not.
of millions of years.
Okay.
And
Okay, hang on. Like, they may prove me wrong, but that's kind of exactly my point. Like, you're only calculating like 3 or 4 or 5 planets in. You have to calculate for the entire solar system. Because I'm sorry, like your greatest gravitational pull is like the sun. It's a collapsing star. I mean, it's about to become a black hole. Like, that's your biggest gravitational pull. And you have all these other bodies of mass in between that orbiting, which are going to affect the orbit of everything. And like, they're like, oh, Uranus is affecting the orbit of Pluto. What I really think is going on is I think Pluto is keeping Neptune stable. And it's off balancing the effects of Uranus and shit. Because like, if we didn't have Pluto, everything would just go out. You know, because it's moving faster, like in the moons and shit. Like, hang on, let me. I don't care about Jupiter's moons and shit, but like it's rotating around the sun. Yeah, it finishes 2
3
orbits.
orbits that Neptune completes around the Sun. Orbital resonances can significantly enhance
yeah.
the mutual gravitational influence of the bodies on each other.
Exactly. So Pluto's moving faster. You know, motion and mass equals gravity and force and shit. So like in the cosmic system, it would, according to that, I think that Pluto's giving more of an influence to Neptune than Neptune's giving to Pluto. And then you got the other one trying to fuck it all up, but somehow it equally balances out.
And are very common in the solar system.
Okay, I guarantee you by the end of this, if Pluto hits Neptune, the whole universe is going to blow up and it's going to be the end of it. Because I'm now building the theory that I think Pluto is like the key to holding our solar system together and shit. I mean, like,
System.
because if you look at anything and everything anywhere, there's mathematical proving, like there's certain constructs, there's things that are definite and for sure, but there's always that one little outlier. You know, that's why we love Frankenstein. That's why the idea of this and that or whatever, like, there's always that one thing that messes it up. You know, like the soul, RoboCop. You know, oh, we turned a man into a machine, but he undid it. Well, why? What are you talking? The soul. What is it? There's always that one extra thing that like we can't quite grasp that keeps it all together. And maybe Pluto's that. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Or maybe they're just harvesting plutonium right out of the planet and it's affecting shit and who knows, and in a couple years the planet's gonna implode like Krypton and maybe we need to get Rick and Morty on it.
One of the famous examples is the
2:4
1:4 resonance of
Like it's
Jupiter's
math.
moons, Ganymede, Europa, and Io. So the simulations revealed that Neptune significantly
okay,
influences
what
Pluto's
you raise it-
azimuthal libration due to orbital resonance between Neptune and Pluto.
But what? Okay,
However,
what's
as far as
the
Pluto's latitude
ratio between
libration is
Neptune and
concerned,
Pluto?
Neptune doesn't contribute much. The situation becomes tricky in the case of the next clue.
Okay, I think what they just told you there is if you take what they were talking about the fucking moons and shit, you know, and the ratio, the 4-to-1, 2-to-1, 1-to-1, and try to apply it to how Neptune and Pluto interact, it doesn't matter.
Closest giant, Uranus's gravity destabilizes both the azimuthal and latitudinal constraints, thereby favoring the destabilization of
Right,
Pluto's
but it
orbit.
also, Uranus
This means
has
that if Pluto's
moons.
orbit were only governed by Neptune's and Uranus's gravity, it would have become unstable after tens or hundreds of
Right.
millions of years. And such a scenario would have caused Pluto to collide with Neptune or fling entirely out of the solar system.
But by
So
some
how is
miracle, it
Pluto still
didn't.
having a stable orbit? What's saving it from the chaotic orbital mess?
Let's
The
go.
answer lies in Jupiter's gravitational
Bullshit.
power and a little bit of Saturn's gravitational pull. Jupiter
Right.
and Saturn lie far enough from Pluto compared to Uranus and Neptune. However, their gravity is still strong enough to dominate the Plutonian system. Hence,
Okay.
they-
Okay. First of all, like, if something happened to Jupiter, like, look this up and tell me if I'm wrong and shit. But I'm like, something doesn't even have to happen to Jupiter. Like, if something happens to one of the moons circling Jupiter, like, I'm pretty sure Gaia is bigger than fucking Earth. Like, if something happens to one of the moons circling Jupiter, like, it all falls apart. Because it's going to mess up the mass and the orbital rotation of Jupiter, which is going to change the orbit of everything around us. Like, this is what I'm getting at. I don't know how people don't realize, yes, this science is brilliant and the science explains it. But it's like, oh, well, this causes it and that and what. Why? Because, I mean, like, if you just knock one thing out, like, even now, they're like, Saturn is the effect of it. Well, if you're going to count Saturn, you have to count the moons orbiting around Saturn. But they're not doing that. But that's part of its gravitational mass. That's part of its gravitational field. And what causes those moons to spin around it that way? You know, like, you got to go kind of down the rabbit hole, but anyway.
they become core contributors to keeping Pluto's orbit stable.
Right.
As the current simulations have revealed, even Jupiter's solo gravitational influence is enough to keep Pluto's orbit stable for at least 5 billion years. These results are likely to
It's stable. Okay. Here's here's another issue I have. Oh, it's keep it stable for 5 years and shit. Like, they started this, did they not start saying it that, like, hang on. Where are we at? We're at 7 something. Let's see.
was its strange orbit.
Strange
Pluto
orbit.
takes 248 years to complete one revolution around
And
the
it cuts
sun.
in between Neptune
Since its discovery in
and fucks all
1930,
this shit up.
the celestial body hasn't even completed a single orbit. But that's not the only peculiar thing about it.
Okay, first of all, I'm pretty sure, like, I remember when Pluto completed an orbit. So I'm not going to get into the whole Mandela effect and we change freaking universes, but we fucking have anyway. Yeah.
The nature of Pluto's orbit is an ongoing mystery, something that astronomers became aware of shortly after its discovery.
See, okay, their orbit's a fucking mystery. Now, let's jump ahead to where we were. What, 8 something?
Of years,
Would have become
and
unstable
such a
and gotten
scenario would
lost.
have caused Pluto to collide with Neptune or fling
You don't even understand Neptune's orbit now, but this would have
entirely
caused
out
it
of
to
the
be
solar
disrupted.
system. So how is Pluto still having a stable orbit? What's saving it
Oh,
from the
no
chaotic
shit,
orbital
like-
mess? The answer lies in Jupiter's gravitational power
Right? But how
and
do
a
you
little bit
know?
of Saturn's gravitational pull.
Like, oh, what keeps it in its orbit? What makes it You just said its orbit is a mystery because it's not the same orbit. It's elliptical on the horizontal, and it does a z-axis thing, and you don't know why. I mean, like, if the moon got blown up, the fucking Earth would die. No bullshit. Like, oh, so Saturn and Jupiter, like, yeah, if they disappeared, I get it.
To dominate the Plutonian
But
system. Hence,
no, duh,
they
the whole
become core
universe
contributors to keeping Pluto's orbit
is
stable.
dumb.
As the current simulations have revealed,
Your
even
simulations
Jupiter's
are
solar
wrong.
gravitational influence is enough to keep Pluto's orbit stable for at least 5 billion
Okay.
years.
Keep its orbit stable based upon previous data in history. Okay, based upon previous mapping of it, which is, according to them, isn't very long. What, 1930? So you're talking 30 to that, 70, another 70, 80. You're talking 90 years we've been able to map it. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah.
These results are likely to have significant implications for studying the dynamics of the solar system in a more
All I'm saying is if the Earth blew up and went kaboom, I bet you that would fuck up Pluto's orbit too.
detailed manner. Following these simulations, one can also trace evidence for the existence of planets that were probably once a part of the system, but got ejected from the solar system billions of years ago.
See,
The results can also explain the origins of Pluto's orbit, along with those of other bodies with high orbital inclinations, including the trans-Neptunian objects that are not well studied yet.
yeah, well, okay.
This concludes the 13th episode of the Sunday Discovery series. If you enjoyed this video,
I kind of did. Gave me some stuff to think about, but really didn't give me any answers. But here's my whole thing: the universe is constantly like expanding and whatever, right? According to Einstein, always expanding. But our sun is a collapsing star. It's a black star, and it's drawing everything in. And we've gone like I'm not sure I want to get into that. Let's see order of the planets. Let me look at those. I just make sure we're all right. Okay, yeah. Which is basically a black hole getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we can't be on Mercury or Venus, but I'm pretty sure we sent probes there, at least in the dimension I started in. We're expanding this way. Yeah, expanding. I don't know. Whatever. Forget that idea. If I really said it, then I'd have to get all religious or shit. What's next? Give me something new. Give me something good. Oh, what was that? Michio Kaku had something. He had something like the couple days ago. The hell is that?
These sightings, they go back decades into the past.
Voyager 1 has just shattered the cosmic silence by making contact with a civilization far beyond the reach of our imagination.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just gotta say, like, sometimes I have problem getting cell signal. You know, like I lose 5G and whatever. And my router, like on my Wi-Fi on my router, doesn't go outside of my house. But the Voyager is still sending shit back.
boundless void of space, Voyager's signal was picked up by an unimaginably advanced alien species whose presence defies all our assumptions about life
What the
on
fuck are you
planets
talking about?
other than our pale blue dot. This extraordinary meeting opens a new chapter in our journey across the universe. While Michio Kaku warns us about this revelation, the age-old questions that have haunted humanity since the dawn of time echo louder than ever. Are we ready to confront the mysteries that lie beyond the stars?
That's not the question. Are we ready to confront the idea that we are not like the greatest beings ever? That we are not like the end all be all, the beginning and the end. Like we were created by something better than ourselves, which is like every text tells us and shit. But like we're so dumb they have to present it in a certain way. You know, instead if we were to be able to like take a step back and go, oh yeah. I mean, like I love the episode of Rick and Morty with the Google block and whatnot. And like he goes into his car battery and he created a whole like quantum universe and whatever. Like we've already proven quantum universes are capable and whatnot. I mean, just like mathematically. Well, they say only mathematically, but you know, like the parallel dimensions, alternate dimensions, and all that. Like quantum theory, CERN, all that. We know that exists. So, like, imagine if you could harness that and you make a battery out of it and convince people to, you know. Of course, that gets into a deeper question. Anyway, let's get on with this. My whole thing is I feel like science comes from a premise of we've got to figure it out. We're man. No, we have to, like, we're man. We have to figure out what we've forgotten, what we've lost. You know, it's always been there. We just have to like unlock it. And if we can get over our own like narcissism and self-importance and quit trying to, like they say, don't label shit. Okay, don't label it. It's not God that did it. It's not magic. It's not this or what. There's an explanation behind it. Although there does seem to be a divine intervention in my point.
Will we
Anyway.
find enlightenment or unleash forces beyond our control?
Oh, we're definitely
Join
going to
us
kill
as we
ourselves.
explore how Voyager 1 just made contact with highly advanced
Yeah,
Voyager
I
1
want to get
spacecraft
to it.
would continue to play a pivotal role in our solar system's exploration of the outer planets. Even after all this time, the probe is still sending data about its travels back to Earth, so it must be doing something right. The communication from Voyager ushers in
fun fact, they don't know how the fuck it's still doing it.
Rewarding future. The Voyager missions took advantage of a special alignment of the outer planets that happens just once every 176 years.
Took a bunch of photos that the Hubble telescope could do a lot better and shit at the time, and then it kept going. I'm pretty sure it was intercepted at one point, and we lost communication with it, and then we got it back, and it's still communicating outside of our own galaxy.
This alignment allows spacecraft to gravitationally slingshot from one planet to the next, making the most efficient use of their limited fuel.
Yeah, I've seen Apollo 11.
Intended to travel beyond Pluto.
Okay, let's skip to this. I thought this was going to be good.
Since NASA had to become creative because the broken chip couldn't be replaced, they had to find a different space in the flight data subsystem memory to store the troublesome code. The scenario became much more complicated because no single site could carry the entire section of the code. So they devised a plan to keep in touch and work together while dividing the affected code into smaller pieces and moving those pieces into the computer's memory. The initial intention was to offer the spacecraft a...
okay, first of all, a couple issues with this whole thing. One, like, it's America that did it, but for some reason, like, Alfred Pennyworth is telling me about it. Like, I got a British guy. And two, I mean, yeah, I don't care about that. Meet the family who believe they're time travelers. Okay, I'm on this one. Maybe not.
It does sound unlikely, but as Sherlock Holmes once
Fucking
said,
another
when
British
you've
guy.
eliminated all the alternatives,
You know what?
then
I'm
whatever
done.
remains...
No, I'm done. I don't want to hear another British guy trying to fucking explain science to me. I don't want to hear it. You meet you. That's what that was, but that didn't do it. India found something. India was like the cradle of. This is it.
James Webb Space
This is what I want to
Telescope
hear.
is upsetting the apple cart.
This is what I want to hear. Prove time doesn't exist. Because time doesn't exist.
However, we physicists say that the universe was created in a Big Bang 13.7 billion
Right.
years ago.
You do.
Time, the elusive concept that governs our existence, has long perplexed scientists and philosophers.
And I don't know
Renowned
why.
physicist Michio Kaku, known for his groundbreaking theories, has once again shaken the foundations of our understanding. In a
Okay, let me get it out of the way. Time has shattered people. And I get it. Like, I don't have exactly all the answers. But anything that has happened, will happen, or is happening, like, has a frequency to it. Like, our atoms move, and the atoms join together, and they move, and whatever, and they create a certain frequency, and call it magnetic, call it radioactive, call it sound, whatever. It creates a frequency. And if you take all those frequency combines, like I was talking about with the planets, and you combine them all together, that's how you define time. In my opinion, it's like taking latitude, longitude, humidity, temperature, your position, your heart rate, all that. Like everything's made of atoms, and all atoms have an amount of energy to them. Now we can't predict exactly where they are at any time, thanks to Heisenberg, but we do know their resonance and their frequency. So if we can figure out how to like view that and measure that, then we can figure out time for a single and absolute instance like we do longitude and latitude. That's my opinion. That's how you measure time and whatever, but
stunning revelation, Kaku boldly declares, time does not exist.
it doesn't.
This statement, seemingly
mental idea.
contradicting our everyday experience, has been ignited by the recent revelations from the James Webb Telescope. But what exactly did the JWST reveal, and what mind-bending implications does it have on Michio Kaku's theories? Join us as we explore the theories of...
I don't know if anybody's watching or whatever reviewing this, but if you are, like, I don't know what time zone you're in, but that's exactly my point. It's a time zone. That's based upon the rotation of the Earth around the sun. You know, that, oh, this is this time and you're in that time zone. Well, if it's, 2 p.m., British time, what time is it on Mars? What time is it on Jupiter? Better yet, what time is it on Pluto and Neptune? Is it the same amount of time? According to physics and shit, it can't be because light has to travel. And given the distances those planets are away, there's a bit of a delay. It's kind of like if the sun burned out, I think what is it, like 10 minutes or whatever before we know it? It's the same kind of thing. And so that's how we're measuring time, is based upon like light and shit. Like our own eyes and brain and ears don't perceive time correctly because the light particles hit our eye. They're then like read by our lens, interpreted by the rods and cones. Not to mention it's also like inverted when it hits our eye, and then our brain has to de-invert it, decode all that shit, and then tell us what we're seeing. Like it's 0.03 or whatever of a second, but we are always seeing. We never see what is, nor the future, because like we don't even see what is. We're always seeing the past. We're always behind whatever happens, because particles have to travel, and then we have to interpret it, and then sounds the same way. Don't believe me? Go to an air show, watch a fighter jet fly by, going subsonic and shit. They'll fly by you, and then you could go 1, 2, and then you hear it go by. It's because it's faster than sound, faster than the molecules, faster than we can interpret it. Anyway, we're like, oh, we can measure time. Yeah, no problem. I got a sundial. It's 12 noon.
Mikio
Get the
Kaku
fuck out
how
of here.
time does not exist and how the James Webb Telescope has just proved us wrong. Mysteries in the
I
Big
proved it
Bang.
wrong without
Hypothesis.
the.
Launched on Christmas Day in 2021, the James Webb Space Telescope follows in the footsteps of the iconic Hubble Space Telescope, but with upgraded features and capabilities. Positioned in the vastness of space, it acts as a window into the universe's deepest mysteries.
By the way, fun fact, I think it was a Hubble telescope that they actually put the lenses in wrong. So they sent it up and they got bullshit back, and then they had to send up an entire another mission to like replace the lenses. Like they're yeah, billions of dollars. We used to think it was an accident. I'm starting to think they did it on purpose.
It's like a time machine equipped with powerful
Shut the fuck up!
infrared
It's not a
tools,
time machine.
allowing it to peer into the fabric of time itself. And with its cutting-edge technology, the James Webb
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Like, how can it? All it can do is view light. Like, in order to time travel, you have to be able to move faster than the speed of light. I mean,
telescope has been on a cosmic voyage since its launch, exploring realms previously beyond our grasp. It has been unveiling the ancient enigmas of distant galaxies and celestial bodies, as well as relics from the universe's infancy. Once hidden and largely unknown, these mysterious entities now take center stage in the universe's evolution. For decades, the prevailing theory described a universe born from a massive explosion eons ago. However, the images captured by JWST has since challenged this narrative, depicting a cosmos that surprises us at every turn. And in the midst of this scientific revolution, astronomers like Alison Kirkpatrick from the University of Kansas confirmed.
okay, but I may be wrong, but I feel like what I taught was it's moving out and everything, but it's just like constantly taking the same view, and it's just like improving upon that. Like James Webb is like the beginning of AI. It just like it looks into the same spot and just keeps trying to see more and more and more. And I guess you can call that zooming in, but yeah. And it discovered there's basically we're not the only Milky Way galaxy.
Front profound questions. Their understanding of cosmic evolution, once firm, now faces uncertainty. The galaxies observed by JWST refuse to conform to our well-known and conventional theories, thereby forcing us to rethink our perception of our universe's origins and fate. Disparities.
But okay, what's a galaxy? Like we have the Milky Way galaxy and found other galaxies. Like if you look it up, like every galaxy at its center has a white dwarf or a dying star, which is like basically a black hole and shit. And that's how they identify it, is because they look at
sizes of galaxies through JWST. To simplify the complex puzzle presented by the James Webb Space Telescope, let's envision the universe as an expanding balloon. According to the expanding universe concept, as galaxies move away from us, their light should appear to stretch, making them look larger. However, the JWST images reveal a surprising
Okay, see, that's my problem with that idea. If the universe is expanding and everything's moving away from it, and this telescope's picking it up, well, that means that like the Earth's orbit, Mars' orbit, Earth, Mercury's orbit, Pluto and Neptune's orbit is moving away. They're gonna change. I mean, so I don't know where to go with that. I just like that idea bothers me because there's a part of me that thinks maybe we lived on Mars or whatever, and yeah, yeah, maybe we lived on Mars until it moved too far out and we came to Earth. But well, that's
Twist.
another thing.
Galaxies at great distances seem to be about the same size as those nearby. It's as
No
if you
shit.
expected distant friends to look like specks on the horizon, but instead, they're right beside you, just as large as life. Similarly, Jetty was
Okay, bad comparison. It's like you look through a lens, not trying to see your best friend, and then there they were. Like you realize they're just like you, or like, oh, let's go inappropriate. It's like all of a sudden you realize, oh, that black guy's your friend.
T
You know, he's
images
just like
reveal
you,
galaxies that are about the same size as
Asian
those
guy,
near us.
whatever.
This defies expectations, especially when you consider that these galaxies are often brighter and more massive than our Milky Way. But these peculiar findings do not end here. The
That makes no
galaxies seen
sense.
by JWST appear too
Okay, first of all, what expectations did we have? And two, if they're brighter and bigger than our own galaxy, why did we have to send the Hubble telescope out of our own galaxy to find it? Makes
to
no
3
sense.
times smaller
You
than
guys are
those
idiots.
observed by the Hubble Space Telescope, despite being more luminous and massive. Equally, these galaxies exhibit
So they're more
significantly
dense.
higher redshifts, indicating they are moving away from us at a faster speed. Meanwhile, back in 2014, scientists noted this
Redshift or
inconsistency
more
when
like
analyzing Hubble's images. Galaxies with redshifts up to 5 seem to behave as expected in a non-expanding universe. This trend continues with JWST, even for galaxies with redshifts as high as 12. In simpler terms, JWST images suggest that galaxies appear the same size regardless of their distance from us. This challenges the idea of an expanding universe.
Right, but they're using the light frequency to determine like its movement. Like it's got to have something to do with gravitational shit. I'm guessing, and I don't know. I don't like. I get like a gravitational force can affect the spectrum of light and what particles get through. I'd be interested in how they came to the conclusion that, oh, because we're getting more red, it means it's moving away. I'd be more thinking that, oh, it's red, maybe it's like more dense, or I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how they came to that. Like the closer it is, the more light obviously you get, so it would appear brighter. But had like, why is it that it's red and not blue? What about that frequency tells you that it's moving away? Like maybe it just means it's more gravitationally dense because they already said like the larger ones are red and moving away. Maybe they're just more gravitationally dense overall.
Suggesting that redshift might simply be a function of distance. If we stick to the Big Bang theory, this poses a perplexing question. Are these distant galaxies unimaginably small, counterbalancing the supposed illusion of an expanding universe? It's a bit like imagining a grain of sand shining as brightly as a spotlight in the vastness of space. Galaxy GH2. Take, for instance, the galaxy named GH2, which JWST observed. Despite being much brighter than our own Milky Way, it's incredibly compact, spanning a mere 300 light-years compared to the vastness of the Milky Way's 50,000 light-year expanse. This means that the brightness
okay. Like, that's what I was talking about. Okay, that's 300 whatever light years, and our 300 million, and ours is only 50,000. Like, you understand, like, if you were to get in Earth, like, let's say Earth is center of the Milky Way, which it's not. But you know that what did they say it was?
Named GH2, which
Yeah.
JWST observed. Despite being much brighter than our own Milky Way, it's incredibly compact, spanning a mere 300
300.
light years
Okay,
compared
300.
to the vastness of the Milky Way's 50,000 light year.
50,000 light years. Okay, that's the Milky Way. So if you want to leave the Milky, like, assuming Earth is the center, which I know it's not, but like just to give an example, if you wanted to leave Earth and go past Pluto and out of the Milky Way, like that's 25,000 light years at minimum. That's if you're traveling at the speed of light. So say you do that, and then you come back, and you come back to Earth. All light speed travel, right? You leave, you come back. It's been 50,000 light years then. That means it's been 50,000 years on Earth. No, like it's fucking different. And that's like I think that's what Michio means about time not being real. We don't understand it. We don't get it. Sure, travel at light speed, great. You can travel at light speed and it'll seem, you know, it takes less than a light year to get to Mars or whatever, fine. It seems like a 25-minute trip. You go there, you hang out for a month, and you come back, your family's fucking dead. Because like we don't know time. You go to the edge of the universe and you come back at the speed of light. you're a caveman. You're a Neanderthal.
Expanse. This means that the brightness of GH2 per unit area is a staggering 600 times greater than the brightest galaxy we can see nearby. What's even more
How do you
intriguing
know?
is that GH2
Wait.
and other newly discovered galaxies.
Wait, hang on. In order for that to be, though, like it means that light has to travel. Light has to be able to travel at different speeds, according to what they're saying. Like because it's red.
Despite being much brighter than.
Oh, it's the speed of light. Hang on. Meters per second. Yeah, E equals mass times that or whatever. A photon, according to the spheres, proposed as a maximum. What is the speed of light? Come on, it's a fucking number. E equals mc squared. Like, if you take a mass and you multiply it by the speed of light, the C is yeah, which is equal to that per approximately. Oh, I gotta do some research. I don't remember how he found that. You know, it's what 32.2 or 33.2 meters per second squared gravity. Right, and light travels as a particle and a wave. I guess we just did it as 3 meters per second. Light speed, a two-way speed of light by defining. I'm just saying, you guys hang around long enough, I'll figure out my time machine again. Yeah. Yeah, but see, in his general relativity, like speed of light in a vacuum is the same for all observers, but light is not the same if you observe it versus you don't. Like that's the other quantum shit. Time and space cannot be defined separately. They're the same, but yeah, because Einstein figured out that space like can contort time, but we didn't ever figure out how to measure time. We figured out gravity, interference, and that. Yeah, he stole a bunch of shit from Germans. Oh fuck it, I'm just gonna jump to it. Tesla. It's pretty, huh? A fragment from a liver. Oh, wow, 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 wow. A Serbian born man. So that all was great in the past was ridiculed, condemned, combated, suppressed, only to emerge more powerfully, all the same triumphantly from the struggle. Okay, let me get it out of the way. Tesla was a time traveler, ahead of his time, all that bullshit. Who cares? You know what? You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna jump ahead. We're just gonna do pyramids.
Almost a century ago, one of history's greatest and most enigmatic inventors had a dream to provide free wireless energy from a mysterious tower, deteriorating more with each day. It was unknown whether the historic site where the cryptic genius of...
Alright, let's see if this will give it to me. Hang on. Oh, fuck, I know it's ancient aliens, but... see, okay, here. Tesla needs a secret. Fuck, oh, of course it's some other random dude. Alright, you know what? Look, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna say it. Okay. Look, Nikola Tesla knew how to, like, wireless energy and all that shit, okay? So, diagram. There we go. Let me go to bed, fuck it. That's what I'm looking for, fuck it. Yeah, that's it, right there. See, a lot of it leaves the underground out. Yeah, okay. Let me view image. Can I view it? Whatever. Oh, back. This is a site. Okay, this is what I'm getting at about like Tesla and shit. Like if it's Warden Club shit, which we'll get into, but and this diagram's actually wrong. This isn't right. There was a maintenance chamber, yes, but hang on. Hang on. There it is. Okay, that's the one. And by the way, you can't climb on the Egyptian pyramids. You can't visit. Okay, yeah, no, this is a good example. This is a good example. Chamber. Then you have this channel right here, which also leads out here, which is big enough to walk through, just like you're seeing here. And these are like your maintenance channels and shit. So what they do is they would come in and they'd walk in here, or I guess right here, where they're showing it down here. They was sometimes up here. They'd walk in, they come into the Queen's chamber, and inside of that was a like a granite or an onyx like mausoleum kind of thing and whatnot. Well, they would put. I don't know what. See, this has been lost. In all fairness, I can't say what it was, but like it's been lost. Like they put a certain element within that device or within that coffer, and then what they do is they leave, and they then pour chemicals into the king's chamber, and those chemicals would mix and make a very caustic gas that was heavier than air and would like float down into this, and they close this shit off, and then it would go into the queen's chamber, and it would hit the sarcophagus. Maybe it was in the king's chamber. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking this up. Anyway, they pour a bunch of chemicals and shit in. After they put an element in, they pour chemicals in a certain order that would then create an exothermic reaction and whatnot that would react with the shape of the pyramid and the limestone coating and the gold cap, as well as the ground and the Nile and shit. So like part of the rise and fall of the Nile like created this pulse that would then project, and I sound like a fucking I hear myself. I sound like a goddamn idiot. Oh, I gotta finish the fucking math on this shit. And we gotta find the fucking elements. Like they had wireless electricity and they tied it into the fucking ground. And what they did is they energized the ionosphere by using resonant magnetic energy. And then like they brought it back down again. That's why there's obelisks and shit. They gave it off at a certain frequency and hertz, and then they built cords to bring it back down and shit. And that's why, like, I like Washington. Not a fan of the Washington Monument. I feel like they're making fun of us. Anyway, um, yeah, we gotta figure that shit out. I mean, I think I have time travel figured out, but I don't have anywhere I want to go and shit. And like, I'd rather do teleportation, which I think it can do, but I don't know how to um read the right magnetic fields in a way that I can project to that. Anyway, but the whole premise is they mix two chemicals together and whatnot, and it created a gas, and these gases off gave, but also like created an energy. They were exothermic on a kind of like micro level, Hang on, fuck me, I'm not. Let's just Google that, right? Let's YouTube it. It's prejudice too. This might turn into karaoke. Like, here's my whole thing with like Egyptian shit. We have all these temples, we have all this shit, and there's no torch marks, nothing. And we were told the pharaohs were buried in like the Great Pyramids. No, they weren't. They were buried in the Valley of the Kings. I'm not sure I want to watch this. Why am I this way now? Because I'm under the wrong account again. There we go.
One of the many mysteries surrounding Egypt's ancient obelisks is why the original builders chose to use stone from the Aswan quarry, when in most cases, other stone was more easily available.
Really? That's the question? They choose the Aswan quarry rather than, like, why the fuck did they build all this? Okay. Okay. Here's my whole thing. I'm with Tesla, this is what nobody talks about and nobody gets is resonance. We talk about wireless electricity, we talk about like conductivity, ohms, all that shit and whatever, right? But the science tells us that everything's a frequency and whatever. But the problem is when you start mentioning that shit, like people start thinking auras and soothsayers and whatever. But like you can't tell me that like you have to if you're an electrical engineer and you're putting together an electrical system, do you not have to worry about the initial electrical pulse that's going to go through when you turn the system on and shit? I mean, I know it's all AC and shit, but oh, you know what? Better yet, I think that's the main problem. Most people don't know AC from DC. Which I think I'm fair enough in saying people don't know their shit from Shinola. Let's see what this guy has to say. I don't like his drawings, but I want to see it. I might like it.
The Egyptian pyramids are without a doubt the most mysterious structures on planet Earth. We do not know when they were built,
only because they've been built, like made that way,
them, and most importantly, why they were built.
Okay, first of all, we do know who built them. We do know when they were built, and we don't know exactly why, but we do know basically everything about like why they're there. Like a pyramid of Sefu, pyramid of this, a pyramid of that. Like they were built in honor to like other pharaohs that have come and gone. You know, anyway.
The Great Pyramid weighs nearly 6 million tons and consists of 2.3 million stones that are cut and fit together with laser precision.
And from your drawing right now, I can tell you you're missing the entire like gold cap, along with the what is it, onyx or quartz stone and diamond on the top. And shit, like basically you're missing all the highly electrical conductive shit they put on the top. Not their fault.
Many
it wasn't
of these
there.
Massive stones, which weigh as much as 80 tons, had to be transported from vast distances of more than 500 miles away. For thousands of years, it stood as the tallest unnatural structure in the world. Certainly, there must have
and even before, like, we came along. Here's the thing. Cleopatra, like Cleopatra's birth and reign, like is closer to our time frame than what it would be to the building and the construction and finishing of the ancient pyramids and shit. Like when Cleopatra and Alexander the Great and all those people, because you know Cleopatra had a thing with him and shit. Like during that time frame, like the pyramids looked like they look to us. Like they're closer to us than they were the fucking pyramids. Okay, and see on the left right here. That's how the pyramids were built. They were covered in limestone and capped with gold. They were covered with the ceramic and capped in gold. I don't know how familiar anybody is with electronics and shit, but a capacitor is a device that, you know, inside is you know, layers of metal and paper and metal and whatnot. And then it has a ceramic outside on it and it's encapped, just like a spark plug. The spark plug's basically like a capacitor. It can take a bigger electric charge and then off gas it at one time. You know, so it's a fancy device coated in a ceramic and tipped with a conductive material, like the image we see on the left, which is what we have been told is how they've been built. And just to ruin everybody's idea, that comes from the Bible. I don't know, like, you know, maybe okay. Well, let's not call it the Bible. That comes from the Hebrew texts, the Torah, the I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Reason to go to all this trouble to construct such a wondrous monument, and we now know that it certainly was not a tomb.
Then why the fuck did you call it a monument? Oh, they built a wondrous monument, but it's not a tomb. If it's not a tomb, then it's not a monument.
Tesla, who is perhaps the greatest inventor of all time, had a particular infatuation with the pyramids.
No, he's a fucking time traveler.
A higher purpose, and throughout his career, he attempted to unravel their mystery. His idea has been dismissed and forgotten over the last century. But considering that Tesla is directly responsible for 80% of the technology we use today.
Hang on. Tesla he uncovered the mystery. Tesla discovered that shit. But our government, like, covered that shit up. And if you don't believe me, why the fuck is there JFK? Why the fuck don't we know that the Australians lost the war to the emus and shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're the nation. We were a bunch of fucking hillbillies and fucking farmers and shit. And we beat the fuck out of the goddamn British, who, like, basically controlled everything. You know what I mean? And, like, the worst thing that ever happened to the British Empire was the United States. And then somewhere along the line, we forgot what the fuck we were doing and gave it up. It's like Tesla shit right here, like what they're talking about. You know what? I hope they kick down my door and arrest me and whatever for this shit, but I can tell you right now, I have documents, I have letters, I have shit that proves that when Tesla was staying at that fucking hotel, that like the OSS and the FBI were right next to him and shit. And they hauled him out of the room and shit. Claimed he had some sort of like heart attack and shit. And then like searched his room. I've got a memo that says they need to change the date because the official news release says that they searched it the day after or the day before he was actually admitted and shit. Like somebody fucked up somewhere. I'm pretty sure that person's fucking dead and shit. But I mean, they took all the shit. Like, let's go further. The head of the newly budding NASA and shit was a Bush. Now they say no relation to George Herbert or George Walker, but I mean, fucking come on. I mean, I don't even want to get into how many people that were like involved with the OSS, and not to mention the FBI at the time, like that have ties to E. Howard Hunt. I mean, like, and like they could tie it together because like it was what, like 6-8 months after he sent that letter out and shit, like, oh, I got an end all weapon and shit. You know, I'll only share it if y'all agree to sign peace. Well, nobody fucking did it, and he sent them fucking nuts and bolts and shit. And they're like, oh, he doesn't have anything. No, that was his fucking joke. That's what he was trying to, anyway. It ain't hard to build a fucking, anyway, yeah. Like Tesla figured out X-ray before Madame Curie without getting fucking killed and shit. Laser beam, like look at this screen right here. Radio waves, light bulbs, alternating current, laser, all that shit. Tesla, like that shit, all that shit with Amazon. You walk in and your lights come on, or you clap your hand, or like Alexa and shit. And it's fucking Tesla. Because he quit looking at everything as like a mathematical equation and whatnot. He looked at everything as a frequency. All a frequency.
Perhaps we should view his theories with a more open mind.
Of course.
Today's episode is a brilliant showcase from the original Gaia series, Ancient Civilizations. We chose this episode because it opens the gate to new possibilities and new perspectives surrounding the pyramids. We ask you to suspend your disbelief and take a journey down the rabbit hole through this insightful presentation.
Yeah. No, I've already done that, but I'm still going to be critical. I'm out of water.
In 1905, physics genius Nikola Tesla submitted his U.S. patent 787412, which was titled The Art of Transmitting Electrical Energy Through the Natural Medium.
Radio waves.
It included designs for a series of worldwide generators. Tesla realized that the ionosphere was sparkling with electrical energy which could easily be tapped. Planet Earth, according to Tesla.
Wait, no, Tesla realized that the energy vibrating at the same frequency can there be increased or manipulated. So he figured out that if you release like a voltage at a certain frequency, it would tie in with something else. Just like if you have a 12-volt device, like you can't run something that's a 110 or a 120 out of your car without a transformer. I mean, different frequencies and shit. But what he figured out is those frequencies, like those voltages under a certain frequency can move through space without interruption and shit. Like if you grab a 110 outlet or a 120 outlet, you're gonna get electrocuted because of the frequency of it. But if you're submitted to, 120 volts at a higher frequency, the wavelength is high enough it can't penetrate you. but it can reach certain devices made to interpret that, and they can downstep that frequency and convert it into a voltage even higher than what the voltage was here.
Gigantic electrical generator spinning around two magnetic poles from which limitless energy can be harnessed using the right medium
but they
or
fucked
shape.
they fucked it up when they did CERN
as Tesla's electromagnetic pyramid, based on his design looking like a triangle shape.
And they didn't understand. They tried CERN and fucked it up.
I believe was something that just came roundabout through his investigation into the location of the pyramids. Because what appears to have happened is that he realized that it wasn't the actual shape of the pyramid so much, although pyramids exhibit fractal energy much more efficiently than other types of designs. But what he discovered was it was the location of the pyramids that created the power. And when he built his facility here in Colorado Springs, and then on the East Coast, he did so according to the laws of where the pyramids at Giza.
That guy skipped over a bunch of shit because no shit he figured that out. But like the placement was something, but like he figured out the resonance of the pyramids.
Giza.
And they're not talking about that.
And it had to do with the elliptical orbit of the Earth and those sites' relationship to the actual equator. That there was a natural construction somehow taking place between those very specific sites and the overall energy field of the Earth. And because of that, he believed he could transmit power wirelessly.
You can.
Tesla's discovery and device
they're already doing it
after his mysterious death in 1943. But what he was trying to tap into might have just scratched the surface of understanding the power of something much more ancient.
According to Nikola Tesla, 369 is the key to the universe. Tesla became so obsessed with this 369 that he would drive around a building 3 times before going inside of it.
He cleaned his place with 18 napkins. Lived in hotel rooms only with the number divisible by 3.
And that's how they discredit him.
About things in their immediate environment.
Like I hate they do this in every documentary. Oh, he got obsessed with this, he did this, he got that. He got obsessed with 369. Like 369 is a frequency hertz. Here, watch. Yeah. Oh, what happens? 369 hertz frequency, pure tone, sine wave. 369 healing frequency, pure frequency. Good luck, miracles and shit. There you go. That's what it is. That's all it is. Now, to give you an idea, here's what a Tesla coil playing music is. 369 is a fucking frequency, right? We've already proved that shit. Now, let's play something, let's play Thunderstruck with Tesla coils. Electrical discharges. What are those electrical discharges? They're electrical discharges at a certain frequency. That's all it is. I really want to hear here's the part. The mainline music comes from the Tesla Gold part. Music due to the program phase of pulse and the frequency. Well, in case you want to know, there's 369 hertz frequency. Let's see what Let's see if there's a fucking... See, nobody has a fucking Tesla coil. Nobody's bothered to try to tune their Tesla coil to this. Like I wonder if 369 was the one he made.
No matter how I look at it, how much research I do, I keep coming back to one guy that stands head and shoulders above all other researchers and inventors of, I don't know,
Yeah,
how
sure,
many
no
centuries.
shit. We all sound like fucking kooks, though.
Why were quartz crystals so attractive to Nikola Tesla? In the past, it was...
Quartz crystals are attractive because you can control the building structure of them. Therefore, once you know the structure on the lattice network, like you can then manipulate them. I.e., you can, you know, create them to be a certain hertz and shit.
Are you ready for the ultimate guide to Nikola Tesla's divine code?
No, not from you.
Brace yourself, because we're about to dive into one of
Oh, I really hope
59
so.
method. But hold on a second.
Wait,
Truly
what does it
desire.
say?
Well, my friend, the answer lies
369, okay. Yeah, again.
What if the
Again,
divine
the
code of the
369,
universe has
the
failed within the
Trinity.
magical sequence of numbers?
No fucking shit, it is. And he's
lights,
doing it without me
remote controls,
realizing it.
radio, and hydroelectric power
Right,
plants.
everything works off a certain fucking frequency. I get that. Ugh. You wonder what the pyramids are working at. They're putting out energy, like they started resonating. Tesla, yeah, okay. But it's all gonna be this BS because they're not gonna explain it to you. Like there's three forms of matter, right? There's solid, there's gas, and then there's liquid, and you've got to get them all working together to make it work, you know. So I think that's really the secret. You've got to take you got to take two materials and use them together to create an off-gassing that resonates at the same frequency both those do. Which, I mean, I think they did with the pyramids. If you actually look at it, they did with the pyramids by using the tunnels and the chambers and shit. So it changed the resonance and the frequencies. That's why there's columns all the way down them, really weird, because then it changes the movement creates vibration, which creates frequency. And then mass also affects that. So if you have a certain mass moving down through a chamber and there's certain things in the way, it'll create a certain frequency. Well, then that movement and that gas and whatever is now energized up to a certain frequency because not only is it a physical thing, it's a sound thing, and it's coming back down around into the other chamber. Well, that chamber in itself is also releasing, a gas and a frequency and whatever. And you take that and they build together, and they almost become catastrophic. But thanks to the building of the structure and the installation, unlike the collapsed pyramid and all the other pyramids we see, where it looks like they got bombed, you know, the Great Pyramids, like they figured out how to contain that. So it over energized, you know, whatever, but was able to contain it. So the energy went out. The ceramic cells pushed it back in, and thanks to the building of the building and shit, like the energy had to go somewhere. Well, the out was in the top thanks to the shape and the gold tip and the diamond, and it shot out. But due to all the other factors, it shot out the top of the temple or the top of the pyramid at the correct hertz and of the ionosphere, and then energize the ionosphere, and any other obelisk floating around could bring it back down, bring that wireless energy back down. And not only that, but they brought it back down and didn't like use it wirelessly. They brought it back down into the soil and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm talking to my ass there, but again, I don't know. Like Tesla, you could walk into Wardenclyffe and the lights would come on. You know, I don't know how he did it other than the fact that I know that he could like light up fluorescent tubes, you know, without any wires or ballasts or anything. You know, he'd have a fluorescent tube hung on the wall and it would just light up, you know, when he walked in. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did the freaking fireballs and shit, but what I do know is I believe that he figured out the Egyptian shit. And he tried to tell everybody, but nobody wanted to listen. So that's where we are. Man. Well, I'm kind of disappointed I didn't have anybody to, you know, talk to and bounce ideas off of, other than myself. Because, I mean, let's be honest, you start discussing and hypothesizing with yourself, it never goes well, you know. Like, just look at Belle and Beauty and the Beast. Like, she relied on herself. Her dad was like, no. And she relied on herself, and, you know, then she wound up with that guy. Like, I mean, okay, but I don't know what I would have done, honestly. But, like, I'm just saying, like, if she'd have gone with Gaston, like, he was more interested in that other guy, if you know what I mean. You know. So I'm not sure, like, how much I'd have to worry about it. Billy Carson, 1 year. Let's see what this guy has to say. I haven't heard him.
What do you think of the whole Giza power plant theory?
I believe it. So
can you explain the basics of what it is?
So if you look at if you do a rewind on the geological clock of Giza, you find out that the Nile ran right up next to the pyramids. So after the last war, that's why Giza is nothing but sand.
It didn't run right up next to it. It ran underneath it and shit.
That's remnants of an ancient war. That's why some of the sand has balls of glass in it. That's 3,000 degrees temperature. That's vitrified sand turned to glass. But anyway, so the Nile is running right up to the pyramids. Now, underneath the pyramid, we know that's true because we see the dried out aquifer areas where there's these gigantic shafts that run, not man-made, but natural forming areas underneath the pyramid where the water would run.
Man-made.
Now, when you take magnetized crystal granite, which is the base, and you use running water underneath it, you create physiostatic electricity.
Right.
Then the granite will pull the ions up into the pyramid, send them up the Grand Gallery. Now, the Grand Gallery has these slots on each side where...
okay, no, I'm sorry. I gotta disagree with this guy because it's not that. Like, it's the orbit... Like, okay, it's the rise and fall of tides. That's why it's there. So, okay, if that was the case, like the water's not there anymore, you know. But if that was the case, the pyramids would still work if we flooded those chambers. They don't. Like the reason the pyramids gave off energy was because of the lunar orbit and shit. Like it was rise and fall. Like if you have something and it's constantly going up and down and up and down and up and down, and there's a chamber in which it's doing that. Okay, there's air molecules or there's particles within that chamber, so you're moving those particles up and down and up and down, right? As the water rises and lowers. Well, what does AC current teach us? You don't have to move an entire electron all the way through the wire. Just move it forward and back, and forward and back. So you take that geothermal movement up up and down, and then energize it to begin with a minor energetic, i.e. the Queen Chamber. You release the gas and shit that then comes out and interacts with the King's Chamber, right, and creates a more exothermic reaction, therefore giving off more, like an exothermic reaction creates heat, but it's basically nothing more than giving off electrons. So you have this wave movement up and down, and then you're releasing electrons into that wave movement. And then knowing that you're refining and angling those electrons, like focusing them like a laser into the King's Chamber, but they're also working on this pulsing, this natural pulsing that's happening with the Earth, you know, so it's geothermal and shit. And now you have this focused pulse group of electrons that now are going to enter the King's Chamber and are going to introduce with another exothermic reaction, but in such a manner that it's going to grow and use that pulse and then fly out not only through the two vents off the King's Chamber, which have the pillars in them, which create more resonance and are built a certain way, but you also have the fact that the entire thing is built out of the material it is, so that the entire time you've been doing this, it's been building and shielding material. Now it has a chance to off-gas extra energy, and its entire connection point is at the very gold, the very, like the tip of the pyramid, which is gold, and then has a diamond and everything. And the thing is, if you get it pulsing right, you know, at the right frequency and shit, then you can get it out into the atmosphere if it's large enough and big enough and everything. And that's like, I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Then the granite will pull the ions up
It did,
into the pyramid.
okay,
send
yeah,
them up
kind
the Grand
of.
Gallery. Now, the Grand Gallery has these slots on each side.
Right,
where
okay.
The hypothesis by
Okay, I get what he's saying
mainstream
now.
engineers too, is that they could have been resonating rods, something to amp up, step
Right.
up the electricity as it went
Okay,
up
what
into
I'm,
the King's
okay.
Chamber. In the King's Chamber, here's what's interesting. There's a box in there that they try to say it's a sarcophagus. It's not a sarcophagus. I'm
no.
6'4". I can't fit in that box.
No,
Sarcophagus,
it's like,
when you go to the museum, you see what a real sarcophagus is. These things are massive. Not this little tiny
It's
box.
like the Ark of the
box is
Covenant.
the exact dimensions, though, of the Ark of the Covenant.
Say,
The Ark of the Covenant used to sit inside of that box. It was
Again.
technology. It was a capacitor. And
yeah.
that would then give the extra boost and send
No.
the electricity up through the apex. But
No.
it was a gold capstone.
Okay.
The obelisk, which are crystal, magnetized
And there's
crystal,
crystal
granite,
brought it back down.
wireless
Right.
electricity,
Okay.
and then pass it on to what they call JED pillars, D-J-E-D. These JEDs,
Yeah.
they had these JEDs. They're depicted in many hieroglyphs, people holding them and connecting them to light bulbs and electroplating
Right.
devices in
That
hieroglyphs.
shit, we were like, oh, look, they're holding light bulbs. No.
Pause 1 second.
But-
What did you say was inside the box?
The Ark of the Covenant.
What is the Ark of the Covenant?
It's okay. It's not, no.
Biblical text.
Okay, yes, it's what was in the Ark of the Covenant, but it wasn't the Ark of the Covenant. They're and I'm Christian, and I hate to say this, but there were multiple Arks of the Covenant and everything. They were like basically nuclear transformers, is what they were. Like he's calling a capacitor here.
Where the
He's
hypothesis
calling
by
a capacitor. It wasn't.
engineers too is that
It
they
was a
could have been
transformer.
resonating rods, something to step up the electricity as it went up into the king's
Right.
chamber. In the king's chamber, here's what's interesting. There's a box in there that they try to say it's a sarcophagus.
That's your
It's not a
transformer.
sarcophagus. I'm 6'4". I can't fit in that box. Sarcophagus, when you go to the museum, you see what a real sarcophagus is. These things are
Yeah.
massive.
Okay. Whatever.
Not this little
Okay.
tiny box.
Fine.
Give
Go
the
ahead.
extra boost and send the electricity up through
Yeah.
the apex.
That's
with
your okay.
technology. It was a capacitor.
Okay. It was a transformer or capacitor. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe it's the other way. But
which are magnetized crystal granite, would capture that ambient
granite. See,
wireless
told you.
electricity and then pass it on to what they call JED pillars. D-J-E-D. These
Yeah.
JEDs. They had these JEDs. They're depicted in many hieroglyphs. People holding them and connecting them to light bulbs and electroplating devices in hieroglyphs, which I took everybody to go see.
Pause 1 second. What did you say was inside the box?
The Ark of the Covenant.
What is the Ark of the Covenant?
If you look into biblical texts, for example, there was this ark
The
that
nuclear
Moses
reactor.
stole. All right, he had this box. He claimed it was given to him by God, but I think he stole it from the Egyptians. This is why they fled after him.
An ark.
Yeah, so it's this box
No.
with
Wow.
these cherubims on it, but these cherubims are it's really a capacitor. It generates a lot of electricity. Inside of this box is something that has so much radiation. That's what it looks like there. That you
It'll
have
give
to
you
have
radio.
on specific.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna shortcut this guy. Like, if you legitimately read like what happened to those that like approached the Ark of the Covenant and whatnot without proper training or clothing or whatever they call it, religious shit at that point. But basically, like your skin melted off, you got dehydrated, you died horribly, and whatever. And like if you compare that to modern day like radiation poisoning, it's the same. So basically, the Ark of the Covenant was like a nuclear reactor in a way, like like, and that's the whole thing. Like he's calling it a capacitor or whatnot, but it wasn't. It was that that device found in the king's chamber was basically a nuclear reactor. Like it's the sphere and shit. Like what was that, the doom sphere or whatever? But it was literally the nuclear. It was a nuclear device that gave off energy. It's what we're looking for now. Unlimited energy due to nuclear fission. It was a nuclear fission device. That's what it was. That's why if you didn't know how to handle it, you fucking died. If you did, then okay, but you treated it with the reverence you needed. And that's the whole thing. The Egyptians had that. They had the understanding, they had the knowledge, and they had like wireless electricity. They had everything. I mean, you look at every major society, there's no way that they like you look at every major historical society, somehow we nowadays can relate to them. We can understand it. Which means like they had to have been at least at our level, if not beyond it. Like we can relate to reading books, reading texts, reading scrolls, doing this shit. But that's all that's left. You know what I'm saying? And if you take like our society now, and I don't know, let's say we got another good 20 years in us. And then like we get an EMP and it wipes us out. What's our history gonna be? What are we gonna be saying? I mean, like we talk in fucking hieroglyphic and shit. Anyway, Thing is, like, shit's been hidden from us. Let's see where this guy goes. I like him so far.
Type of clothing, which is well described even in the Bible. Rubber boots, gloves, this type of suit with this breastplate of metal on it. This is all to prevent the radiation poisoning. When somebody didn't have it on the Bible and they touched the ark, they would become very sick. Their hair would fall out. Their nose would bleed. Their eyes would bleed. Their fingernails would fall off. Radiation sickness. This thing was generating some type of radiation power, some type of a generator of power of some sort. And it was connected to the Great Pyramid. It was in that box. Evidence for this for me.
No, it wasn't.
That box has a gigantic piece of the granite missing off one corner, like an explosion happened from inside the box.
No.
If you look across the Grand Gap.
Okay, first of all, there's proof of that shit. I can't remember the pyramid, but it's a failed pyramid and shit. And like the King's Chamber, actually, like that sarcophagus he's talking about who's blown up and shit. So, like, yeah, no, it's in my. I disagree with that. I don't think that's the case because, like, I'm not gonna say they got it wrong and shit, but like all right, look, getting some history and shit. Jews fled Egypt with Moses and shit, right? Moses was actually like the second in line to be prince, or if Moses was a prince, even though he was like picked out of the river, so he was like second in line behind the actual pharaoh to become like prince and shit. Like he could have done all that shit, but instead he sided with the Jews. Like so he stole that technology and that understanding and took it with him. But the problem was, like in the Ark of the Covenant, it's so much more powerful than when it is in a pyramid. Because again, going back to the capacitor, you take that device and you put it in this structure and use other chemicals to activate it. You know, you can reduce and control it, and then you have it in this controlled structure, and you release it at a certain frequency that resonates with the earth, and then you have wireless electricity. You take it and you just run out into the desert with it. Well, it's going to be giving off different energies. You have to treat it differently. You have to work with it differently. But it's still the same understanding, resonance and nuclear and shit. Like I think that's what Moses did. And God protected him.
Gallery, I'm sorry, across the King's Chamber, there's a wall about maybe 30 feet away. The impact from that giant piece of granite that snapped off, it cut that granite on the wall, the exact shape of that corner piece.
You're not talking about the right pyramid.
For you to throw a piece of granite that heavy
that
far and impact
There's a massive explosion.
So there was energy in there. Now, if you go...
Okay, what he's talking about right now is actually like it was built around the Crooked Pyramid and all that shit. It was like it's around the time frame they were trying to work out how to build pyramids and shit. And I'm pretty sure like right after that one, I can't remember the name of that pyramid, but I'm pretty sure like right after that they built the Crooked Pyramid or they got it right.
Go back to the story of Moses, it really was Pharaoh Akhenaten. Moses is not the real name. That's the name.
Yeah,
Pharaoh
because we're about 400 years off.
In Egypt, while he was a pharaoh, worshiping Amen-Ra, the great Amen. Amen-Ra was one of these Anunnaki people. Said, "Look, from now on there'll be no other god but me." That made it into the Bible. When you say thanks, you say thanks to me. You say amen. That made it into the Bible. Teach the people only to worship me, not any of my other relatives. I'm the only one and true God. And he began to do that. Then he made an order to go start defacing all the hieroglyphs and all of these statues around Egypt. That's why the noses and the ears are chipped off. That's why the faces are chipped off everywhere you go. Bodies are chipped away. It wasn't done. The hypothesis on the streets is that it was done because white people back then didn't want black people to know that they were black people in Egypt. That's actually false.
It was done to rewrite history.
This was done in ancient times, and it was carried on by Coptic Christians long before Jesus was even born. They were still following that same monotheistic religion.
Okay, yeah.
And to them, it was offensive.
Oh. Coptic Christians? No, they weren't Coptic Christians. They were monotheists of other religions that wanted to, like, change the fucking religion. They were doing what they were doing during the Crusades and shit. Like, don't blame Christians for
to
that.
have these faces of all these gods around, because there's only one true and only one God, the great Amen. And that's why all these things were done.
And Christianity, there's only one God.
So they said, look, this guy has to go. We got to get him out of here. They kicked him out of Egypt. They kicked the Pharaoh out of Egypt. He went.
Moses wasn't a fucking Pharaoh, you idiot.
And he fled with his new followers. They weren't slaves. They were followers of Akhenaten.
No, they were fucking slaves.
The Sea of Reeds, not the Red Sea.
Nope. Okay.
Nobody ever crossed.
Okay. Wait, this guy's off his fucking rocker. First of all, Moses was never Pharaoh. He was in line to be Pharaoh, but he was like I think I said third in line, but he's actually like seventh or whatever to be in line and shit. And basically, his brother became Pharaoh, and he thought he'd see some sympathy from his brother, but when he stood up and tried to protect an Egyptian from getting beat and refused to like discipline him, his brother the Pharaoh made him work as a slave, and he did it without arguing. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I may have made that up. Whatever the case, like he wasn't. Moses left Egypt like pissed off and against the Pharaoh, but he took people with him. Sure, he had followers and shit, but like it all timed out right. Like if you like he mentioned the fact that the actual Pharaoh at the time of Moses' expedition or Moses' exodus was this Pharaoh. Yes, that is correct. It's not Ramses and shit like we've been told. And if you tie all that shit together, there was a earthquake and volcanic eruption that happened that would have caused the plague of locusts. It would have caused the iron oxide in the region to rise up out of the water and make the water look blood red. Also would have caused the release of methane gas to reside to come out of the lake nearby and the river nearby. And all the Egyptians, it was Passover, so they had their children sleeping up high, and the Egyptians, the firstborn, were like in a special like doggy bed right off the floor, so they would have died. I mean, it's like propane. You know anything about that? It heavier than the air, so it would have suffocated them. Like there's scientific shit behind all that, and then anyway, this guy I feel like he doesn't want to prove the religious
followers of Akhenaten.
He doesn't want to prove
the Reeds, not the Red Sea, which they tell you in the Bible.
Right, the Sea of Reeds got translated to the Red Sea and whatever, and just like I talked about the earthquake and shit and all that. At that time, also based upon lunar orbit, it was during low tide with an earthquake and shit and whatever, so they were able to walk through it. It wasn't completely dry, but it like
nobody ever crossed the Red Sea.
It's a
mistranslation by accident on purpose.
It's Red Sea. It's
much smaller, much easier to cross sea called the Red Sea, which is also in the same region. And then when the Pharaoh realized the power source of Egypt had been stolen, the new Pharaoh.
Wait. Where'd they go? Where'd they wind up? Where'd they wind up? Let's see. Let's look at this. Crossing the Red Sea, Pharaoh chariots and arms and shit. Yeah, Reed Sea. Okay. Well, I'm good with pictures. Doing pictures. Okay, that was not big enough. Red Sea. Okay. Is it really? Let me guess. Let me guess. Oh wait, I'm just gonna guess. Reed Sea, Red Sea, right? Is that what we're doing? Where the fuck is the Reed Sea? I'm going to bed. Possible location. Okay, so wait a minute. Dude said they crosses the Reed Sea, not the Red Sea. So I googled. You know what? I binged it. Let me Google it. Reed Sea, Egypt. Yeah, see, it's a fucking translation. See, this is what I hate. I'm like, everybody's gotta go, oh, they didn't cross the Red Sea, they crossed the Reed Sea. Okay, first of all, like, if this is it, that's the fucking Reed River. You see, they don't even know. But look at however you look at it, that's the Red Sea. This is an estuary. That's an estuary. They're fucking rivers off of it. Do those rivers have names? I don't know. Okay, but like, and see, here's the other part of that. Like, can we all take a moment and step back and go, okay, it might not have been a big sea and shit. It's still a big freaking piece of body of water. And they just doop 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 about it. There's one across it and shit. And then when Pharaoh tried to do it with his chariots and shit, couldn't pull it off. Right? I don't get that argument about the Reed Sea and all that shit. Oh, I closed the wrong thing. Let's see if I can get back to it. Oh, that's the right one or not.
What do you think of the whole Giza power plant?
Though, of the Ark of the Covenant. All right, he had this box. He claimed it.
Whatever.
Their nose would bleed, their eyes. Monotheism in Egypt while he was a pharaoh.
Monotheism exists way before then.
Amen-Ra was one of these Anunnaki people. Said, "Look, from now on, we already been over that. That made it into wasn't done." The hypothesis on the streets is that it was done because white people this when he was kicked out. So they said, "Look, this guy has to go. We got to get him out of here." They kicked him out of Egypt. They kicked the pharaoh out of Egypt.
He wasn't pharaoh again.
Out of the Great Pyramid. It's a mistranslation by accident.
And did the Ark.
They crossed a much smaller, much easier to cross sea called the Red Sea, which is also in the same region.
I think we already proved that wrong.
The Pharaoh realized the power source of Egypt had been stolen. The new Pharaoh, they sent the chariots after him and everything else. Man. His son was left behind. He didn't want to go. That's Tutankhamun.
Aaron?
But Tutankhamun, they started worrying that maybe when he got a little
was
older,
not.
he would say, "I want revenge for my father," and so they decided to kill him and kill his girlfriend. He got a little older, he would say, "I want revenge for my." The new pharaoh, they sent the chariots after him and everything else. His son was left behind. He didn't want to go. That's Tutankhamun. But Tutankhamun, they started worrying that maybe when he got a little older, he would say, "I want revenge for my father," and so they decided to kill him and kill his girlfriend. And that's how the story ended that way. But anyway, that's what happened.
So what was the purpose of this?
What? What the fuck is you talking about? Yeah, just like Tutankhamun died at fucking 18. Tutankhamun had nothing to do with fucking Moses. Okay, this guy's off his foot. Like, he was going good, but then he got off his goddamn rocker.
What was it used for? Like, how are they used? They use these pyramids as giant power structures, and this ark was like the reactor or something.
Oh, you don't know.
When they had it out in the desert, it would give them power. It would give them power to power something called
the Bible
machine. And the
tells you.
manna machine would generate this food for the masses of people that followed him
No,
out to the desert.
ark.
And so it had this capability of generating food. Also, when they were out there, they saw enemies were trying to attack them. I don't know who these enemies were. It never clearly says who they were or why they were attacking, but they would then use this thing as a weapon and would send a beam out and kill these people. So this is technology.
Okay, no,
and that's in the Bible.
No, it's not.
That's
no, it's not.
It's not magic.
No, it's not in the fucking Bible. Like, that shit isn't in the Bible. Like, they wandered the desert for fucking 40 years avoiding people and shit. Like, yes, they had
It's
nuclear
not a Sky Daddy with a
power.
magic wand. It's like real hard instructions that are in the Bible.
Really? What university created this?
Google it. I can't remember the name of the university. But
Google
the professor
created it.
recreates the ark, or you can look it up.
No,
several people actually
like-
have done it as well too. Since then, it generated so much
No.
power he had to shut it down. It was pulling power
Bullshit.
from everywhere.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
No, it didn't.
From the exact
I've seen that. No, it
instructions.
didn't.
And he made one.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
The
He
engineer who
made it
said
out
the
of
Ark of
aluminum
the
foil and
Covenant.
shit.
This
And he
is
was
a
running
group of
electrical mortar
College
in the minute. I
students made
love
a
it.
replica of the ark. That's one. There's quite a few now, but there's one that was a while back where
replicas.
Yeah,
they made
dude,
just
no.
recreating it from the.
Nikola Tesla believed that he could harness the energy from inside the Earth and transmit that power wirelessly around the world. His early experiments were successful, but his
Yeah, no,
research
I'm good.
mysteriously
All right, well,
vanished
everybody have a
after
good
his
night.
death. There is no evidence left of Tesla's wireless power technology. Or is there? For years, we were taught that the Great Pyramid of Giza was a tomb for a king. It wasn't. It had a different purpose. Tesla didn't invent wireless power. It's been here for 5,000 years, and probably a lot longer than that. Okay, why were the pyramids built?
Storage for dead mummies?
Dead mummies?
It's a